Look, I completely understand that with a title like that, there are definitely going to be emotions that immediately start flying. So if you are on those super emotional scales, I totally get it. But if you are willing and able to sit and think philosophically and critically about some of these ideas, maybe we can have a conversation. So, as we keep hearing about the whole Israel Palestine conflict and issues that surround that, whenever people talk to me about it and I bring up that I am truly neutral on the subject and I hate everything about it, people always look at me like I have three heads. Like there's something that I truly don't get, or there's something truly wrong with me, and I've had every word thrown at me from Zionist, anti-Semite, and quite honestly, I just need people to hear out why I'm coming from this angle. Now, if this is your first time here to the channel, I'm not surprised. I don't exactly make a splash in the political YouTube world, but there's a big thing when it comes to me in that I'm freedom focused. All right, I'm a hardcore libertarian, and I believe that freedom directly corresponds. I'm sorry, I believe that human achievement and human ability and everything good with life directly corresponds to the amount of freedom that is given to any society. Now, I say given, but I think freedom is naturally human, and that's a different conversation for another day. But when it comes to this conflict, I really have kind of three main ideas that I want us to think about as we talk through practical steps. I'm being very philosophical here. I'm not being practical. I'm being philosophical. But if what we do is not driven by philosophy, then we get into an area where we start being pragmatics, and pragmatism can be good in some cases when it's driven humanitarianly. But in cases where pragmatism is just used to get about whatever goal you're trying to achieve, we can start stepping on a lot of rights really, really fast. So, the first reason, and this is the weakest reason, I'm going to admit it, this is the weakest reason why I think I'm truly neutral about this whole topic, is that the people that were responsible for the formation of, or the anti formation of, the antagonism to the formation of the Israeli state in 1948, everybody, if not the vast majority of people involved in that, are dead. Are dead. And if they're not dead, they were definitely way too young to remember much of anything about it. Now, the ramifications of that event are still felt very much so like how the ramifications of slavery and Jim Crow are felt within the black population of the United States today. But even though those ramifications are still felt, like just ascribing personal blame on the people that live in Gaza or in Israel today, it seems to me intellectually dishonest, not even just wrong, just intellectually dishonest. Just like how blaming white individuals for the propagation of slavery in America is also intellectually dishonest, or blaming modern Africans for the slavery of other Africans is also intellectually dishonest. We're so removed from these topics and situations that we can't be ascribed personal blame. Now, society does have a role to play in fixing the problem. I completely agree. But we have to first, in my opinion, take a step away from thinking that, Benjamin or Muhammad is the problem. We have to take a step back and realize there's historical precedents set in place that we can either dismantle or encourage. And you're going to hear me very, very, very radically in a moment say we need to dismantle it. The second thing why I'm neutral about this is because both Jews and Palestinians, I can't speak, have history in that area. And something I see very frequently is the absolute sheer inability or unwillingness to recognize that the land of Palestine and the land of Israel are both historically in that area. Like, that is 100% accurate to history. The largest religion in the world is contributed to a Jewish man who came from the region of Palestine. I mean, you just have absolutely no ability to defend that, oh, Jews don't belong in Palestine. Oh, Palestinians don't belong in Palestine. the Jews were in that land for thousands of years, but they've also been gone for thousands of years. Now, the argument can be made that the current Jews that live in Israel are not the same ethnically as the Jews we had at the time of Christ, and even before that in the Davidic timeline, and even further than that into Abraham and everything like that. I think an argument can be made about that, but I'm not an anthropologist and I don't know as much about that. But if we're just going to take the words as what they mean, as what we know them to be, Jews lived in that area. At the same time, Palestinians have lived in that area for a long, long time. So having the conversation of Israel's not real, Palestine's not real, it's just intellectually dishonest. Again, like all of this, all the frustration I have about this topic stems from people being truly intellectually dishonest about the topic at hand. And the last reason, I suppose, that I'm going to have several sub reasons for this, but the last reason is that people hold both sides to completely different standards, whether you're pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. They both are just awful. They both just are doing terrible things, and continuing to propagate that one side is right while the other side is wrong is just morally inept. Now, I know that if you've also been around this channel if you've been on this, if you have been around on this channel long enough, wow, why is that a tongue twister? You will know that the core foundation as to what I believe is my religious faith, and I'm a very, very strong evangelical Christian. And so for people hearing that I'm not super on board with the whole Israel thing, that seems a little strange. Like, oh, this evangelical isn't like all on board with Israel. I might be evangelical, but I'm not dispensational. And if you don't know what these words mean, I'm super sorry. But I hold to a soft replacement theology where, I don't think God intends to use Israel right now. I think God has a future plan for Israel, but I don't know if the Israel established in 1948 is the same Israel that the book of Revelation talks about. I just don't know. And at the same time, I'm not even settled on my eschatological views on how we should interpret Revelation in the first place. So you're not going to get too much from me there as it comes to a religious reason to defend Israel. But from what I'm convinced of right now, eschatologically, I don't think religion and our faith in Christ is exactly a great defense for the Israeli state. At the same time, my religious convictions tell me that both sides of this thing are completely wrong. Just because I'm not sitting here saying that Israel definitely deserves this land doesn't mean I'm sitting here saying that means we just need them gone. We just need to wipe them off the face of the map. Because here's the thing. I keep seeing so many people talking about how Israel is committing an act of genocide. Now, I mean, let's pause and let's talk about something else for a second. Israel needs to be held accountable for the way it is handling things in the Gaza Strip. Absolutely 100%. Okay? I'm an American, and if I were to take this, and don't make fun of it, it's purple. Yes, I get it. I live in Baltimore. It's fine. So if I were to take this, and I was defending myself in a self-defense situation, and I just start blasting, and I hit every man, woman, and child between me and my attacker, and then I finally hit the attacker, but I've killed 30 people along the way, I shouldn't be surprised when, a bunch of lawyers come knocking at my door. When Israel bombs a hospital because there's two guys underneath the hospital that might be affiliated with Hamas, they shouldn't be surprised when they create 10 more people signing up for Hamas. Now, that doesn't mean what Hamas is doing remotely at all is acceptable. And anyone that tries to deflect from what happened on October 7th with other things that have happened, you're just holding a different standard. You're a hypocrite is what you are. You're just a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. And morally, you should feel bad about that. I'm not going to apologize. You should feel bad for saying these lives are okay to take, but these lives are not. Especially when they're innocent civilians. Now, the argument, I've gotten some pushback on this because, Hamas isn't Palestine. The IDF isn't Israel. Like, you have to understand that no, not every Palestinian is in Hamas, and not every Israeli is in the IDF. And so propagating the idea that just because they live 10 miles to the east of me means they deserve to die is just stupid. It's just stupid. It's nonsensical. And I get it. I'm a privileged white boy living all the thousands of miles away. I don't actually have to face the true ramifications of these issues. But if we're going to have constant political, practical debate about how my country needs to help one side or the other, I think it needs to be driven by philosophy and not sheer emotionalism, because the reality is, they're both governments, and neither of them should be trusted. Neither of them should be trusted. And here's another issue that I have is that when they're talking about Israel committing a genocide against the Palestinians, I just, like I said, you should not trust governments. You should not, and I'm not. When I'm saying this, I'm not trusting them. But what I am hearing from both sides, all I can take is their words. That's all I have to go off right now. I have their words and their actions. Now, Israel's words is saying if Hamas lays down their arms, all of this is over today. Their actions are saying a little bit else. Hamas is actively saying that October 7th was a warm up, and they are actively intending to go further with it. And their actions are also proving this. So to me, when I'm hearing genocide, you're getting that from both sides as well. Like, you're not getting one or the other. You are getting both sides actively trying to commit genocide, actively trying to hurt innocent people to further their goals. And if we keep doing that without a philosophy of human rights are paramount first, human freedoms are paramount first, all these things regarding the individual and humanity are paramount first, then we just get into statist pragmatism where the lives of millions can be lost for the benefit of the state. And tell me, look me in the eyes and tell me how you think that is moral. Again, I'm neutral on this. I truly, it's not that I don't care. I care, but I don't want either side to win this. It will not be good for any of the people involved if either sides win it the way that it is now. I truly, truly wish we could live in peace, but I don't expect it to happen. But I think we cannot operate pragmatically. We have to operate philosophically with a focus on freedom for the people. Otherwise, millions more will die.